Hey gamers, what is going on? We're with the brand new episode of Bat Topic News, Bat Podcast, Batcast, whatever you want to call it. And today we will be discussing a recent DC show that has been canceled for the season 2 of itself, and the upcoming or released Flash movie that is set to release tomorrow or has come out today. I don't quite remember. But yeah, before we get into that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So, um, uh, I want to say about a year ago, but it has not been a year ago. Um, Gotham Knights came out. The game came out. And following that, DC kind of got on the craze with Gotham Knights and made a show revolving around the Gotham Knights. And I've watched the first episode of it, and yeah, I don't know what they were quite going for. The TV show is riddled with politics and just overall horrible story. Um, yeah, and I honestly didn't know what to expect much of the the series. I don't think anyone was really looking forward to it. DC was definitely just jumping on the Gotham Knights hysteria train. Not just that, but the story doesn't really follow around any of the main characters um, in the game, which is fine. But for a TV show that's coming out, you know, and is based around the same name of a game that's coming out, I would expect this TV show to at least kind of have the same characters. I don't know. Dick Grayson is in it as this kind of trust fund baby in a way. He really doesn't do much with his money besides flaunting it, I guess, in a way, by throwing these big parties and not really doing anything amazing with his money. Um, the Gotham Knights are less than perfect, as most groups and organizations are, but the Gotham Knights here are more of a bunch of little kids who just hate everything and are just kind of brats. And I don't. I try to say that in the most insulting way because it's truly just a show about a bunch of misfits who decided to band together, and it really had nothing going for it at the beginning of itself. And so I kind of find it hard to believe that people would sit down and watch the show. It's it came it gave me a lot of the Batman. I mean, not Batman. Batwoman kind of a Batwoman kind of sense. You know, the show Batwoman that season 1 was fine, not like fine story wise, but like fine politically wise. And then next season they added a black Batwoman because diversity and inclusion. And it's whatever. But the story was already cemented with the fact that this Batwoman is white, and you know not that I have anything wrong with someone's race when they decide to play as a character, but you can't start a TV show and then randomly change the actor's race all because of a few things with politics. And that's one of the things that DC has done more than Marvel. See, I think the difference with Marvel is if they never really do anything political. I'd say the most they do political is having like a same-sex couple um, in a movie, and you know it might pander to a certain audience that it's bad, or might pander to a certain audience that they like it. But they don't go out of their way to politicize material, which makes them I'd say, a better company than DC. As much as I love DC and its characters, their company isn't good because of what they produce. Their company is good because of the characters that they create. And recently they just haven't been doing as such a good job as previously previous instances where they've done better for just not politicizing anything, or just not, just making good stories instead of, oh, this Batgirl is black because black people are oppressed, or just stuff like that. And politics aside, whether you disagree or agree, to kind of make a show about racism when it's supposed to be about a completely different topic is, I want to say weird, because it is. Um, because it is weird to go out of your way to say, oh, yeah, yeah, Dick Grayson is spending all his money not for organizations that help the black people in Gotham or fight the racial prejudices or whatever you want to call it in Gotham, but because he just wants to have an expensive party filled with a bunch of women. Like that kind of thing, it's just that didn't need to be added. And with DC especially, you can see politics in DC. It's just not real politics. I'd say a prime example of that is in the '89 Batman with Harvey Dent, and they're fighting their own politics, which is, oh, rampant crime in Gotham City. How are we going to deal with this? Not, oh my God, Harvey Dent is a black mayor. We have to make a big deal about this. That just wasn't a thing that had to be thought about for a good movie to be made. And the same thing always happens with DC. With Marvel, if they do something political, it's like, oh, celebrating Pride in, June. Whatever your opinion on it is. It's minute to what DC does with politics, which is, oh, it's Pride month. Okay, cool. Now we're going to make, characters celebrating their pride. Now we're going to have this show about the racial indifferences and the racial discrimination against black people or indigenous people in modern America. And it's one of the funniest things to see, because they just don't seem to be getting the memo that people aren't watching their stuff because of their politics. People want to watch this stuff because it's good. That's why the Batman did so good. The Batman didn't have to rely on the fact that Catwoman was some, non-white character. They just focused on the fact that there's this guy, there's this Batman who has this common threat with the rest of the police, and that threat is the Riddler, who's going around and killing different political figures, and how is he going to stop it? Not, oh, Batman's white and the Catwoman's black, so obviously that's why they hate each other. And it's a far-fetched kind of philosophy to say that, but it's not far-fetched anymore. It's what's going on, you know, right now. And so that's one of the things that I think failed the Gotham Knights TV show and why they didn't continue it. And the people rooting for the fact that, racial prejudices or racial biases are being pointed out in the movie or in the TV show, the people saying that it's a good thing that that's going on most likely didn't watch it because they don't care. And that's another thing that DC has to take into mind. The woke mob will only come after you, but they won't. They won't care. They really don't care. They just want to attack and destroy whatever stands in their way. And that's not a political thing. That is just true. Look at any corporation that has pandered to an audience that is not the political left recently. And you'll find that that company has lost sales, lost a lot of, has gone out of business, especially in 2020, when small businesses and stores that voted more right wing were shut down because of these people who went online and were like, oh my god, this guy has a sign that says, men can't be women outside of his door. And that must mean we attack him relentlessly and make him suffer for what he said. And it's one of the stupidest things I want to say in politics, and it makes one, a a um a moment like the Bud Light situation. No matter what your opinion is on it, it makes the moment like Bud Light, or it makes the situation with Bud Light is a better word, more significant because up to recently, conservatives haven't had power for about the last 20 years. Um, and I want to say they're kind of waking up to other things that could be going on, such as drag queens teaching in schools or reading in libraries. And no matter what your opinion is about this stuff, I don't have to state mine. It is true that these things are happening, and that is why they're being pointed out. And that is why people don't want to pay attention, because it's easier to not pay attention to something than it is to point out the obvious. And that is definitely what had happened there. Anyway, I am going off topic quite a bit, excuse me, but you know, Gotham Knights did not pander to the audience that it was trying to serve, which is why it inevitably flopped. That's my piece on that situation. um, so yeah, all right. The moment has arrived. My Michael Keaton suit in the game and in real life, because obviously uh, you have to deck the not deck, but don the cowl and cape when Keaton hits the big screen as Batman once again. I don't know if this is Keaton's last project as the Dark Knight, um, but Keaton is embarking on his, I don't want to say inevitable, but inevitably, um, not his final play as Batman. It's gonna be how I put it, and I'm excited for it. I have seen multiple trailers that depict this Batman as the same Batman that we saw in both Batman Returns and Batman 1989, and I am excited. Um, Years ago, God, about 4 years ago, um, Nightwing 01 did a video on the future of DC Comics and some of the movies, and he mentioned this kind of Flashpoint Batman, and I really do think that this is kind of what he was talking about. He has a very good reputation with things coming to pass whenever he has a how do I put it, like a prophecy in a way. Prophecy's gonna be how I put it, but he does have this kind of prophetic um, thing when it comes to DC Comics, and it's kind of cool to just sit back and be like, oh my gosh, this stuff happened with DC, and that was right. And so this was definitely one of those things, and I'm on board with Keaton coming back. How the movie's going to be played out, I haven't looked into the story synopsis at all because I want to be thoroughly surprised by everything that happens. But as far as I know, Ben Affleck's Batman is in it, and Michael Keaton's Batman is in it. And I want to say this is going to be one of the movies that DC makes good. Um, I have not read any reviews about it. I believe it does come out. It did come out today, the June 15th. But I haven't looked at any of the reviews on it yet because I just want to be in the moment and not, just kind of reviewing the movie myself and not looking at the movie through someone else's eyes. And I think that's probably the best way to watch a movie. And so I'm going to probably watch it tomorrow. I'll see, and I will definitely be making a movie about it because this is just one of those historic moments in DC lore because we haven't seen Keaton on the big screen in I want almost 40 years now, and he was a part of many people's childhood, especially the people who are now rewatching the Keaton movies because of this and being like, "Oh yes, I remember, going over to my friend's house and watching that, or going to the theater with my grandparents and seeing that, and seeing Keaton play the role." And this is going to kind of revive DC Comics, and I think definitely right now DC needs that because they don't have a lot going for them. Like I said, they have a few shows, and those shows aren't doing good. No one's watching the Pennyworth series. No one's watching, God, the the Teen Titans. No one is watching, you know, the Gotham Knights or stuff like that. So I really think that DC does better at movies. And I know this is going to shock everyone when I say this, and I'm trying to stay unbiased, but Marvel Marvel's reign is in some movies and shows. And DC's reign, I want to say, is the movies they release once or twice a year. Because and even though not all of them would do blockbuster hits, they perform sometimes better than Marvel movies. Obviously, I'm not excluding, you know, the Avengers movies. Like the Avengers movies did drastically better than something like I don't know, Batman 2000 or Batman 2022. You know that movie. Um there are some Marvel movies that take the cake when it comes to viewership. But I think Marvel does much better in shows. Just because, that's just how it is. But DC I feel like does better with some of their movies than Marvel does. No one's talking about the Ant-Man movie because no one cared to watch it. No one is watching the other movies that were released. I can't even tell you those because they're just so oh my goodness, like no one knows what they are. So I feel like this movie has the Batman 2023 potential. And if DC did a really good job with it, they can definitely make it worthwhile for people to buy the tickets and spend their time to watch. And with Keaton on board, I want to say what can go wrong because Keaton is a fabulous Batman. Obviously, that is extremely biased because Keaton is my favorite Batman, but it's highly likely that the movie will do good because of Keaton's role in it. And imagine it having a good story in it also. And setting up for this kind of multiverse of new things for DC to play with, new universes for DC to explore, not just universes that have been pre-established like the Ben Affleck universe or the Keaton universe. Something brand new that they can start to do. And I definitely think a DC multiverse of movies could be born with this movie because of the synopsis of it and its story. And if they kind of create their own DC multiverse with and they have done that in a way, in a sense, with the multiple different Supermans or Batmans or Wonder women. But I feel like they could kind of tie it together better in some movies. Like I don't know, there's a scene somewhere where a certain hero can see different universes, and their enlightenment of in their mind, this kind of enlightenment of all the universes that there are for them to explore. And it's definitely a possibility, in my opinion. Just if DC doesn't play it off well, it's not going to happen, which is one thing that happens with DC a lot. If it goes well, it'll happen. If it doesn't go well, then it's not going to, as most companies should do. But DC especially, if something doesn't go well, like Gotham Knights, it won't continue. If something does go well, like the Batman movies from 2023, they'll keep making them because the next one's set to come out, what, 2025, 2024. So they can definitely do it. They just need this one to be good enough. And yeah, which kind of leads into the next part, which is, you know, um, oh God, I just forgot his name. Ezra Miller and his allegations against him. Um, which could make it potentially hard for DC to sell tickets and to advertise the movie. And I want to say they've done a decent job, but it hasn't gotten um, as much spotlight as the the Spider-Man movie. I forget what just released. I'm not a big Marvel fan, but something like that, because it is so recent in its publishing, they can kind of butt heads most definitely with each other, which is the only problem I see the Batman movie having, um, aside from story and characters and audience opinions or reviews. So I really don't understand why DC released it so soon to Spider-Man's release. It has been almost a week since the Spider-Man movies come out, but the DC could have definitely held off till July to release it and done it on, like, you know, July 15th then, or something that's just a little far apart so that the Spider-Man hysteria can die down, the craze can die down, and now you've got this new movie and this fresh Batman movie. And that's what made the 2023 Batman movie so good, was because there wasn't any Spider-Man movies or any Marvel movies or any other big blockbuster, with it or competing against it. It was just basically the whole month was talking about, oh, the Batman movie's coming out this month. Let's go watch it because there's nothing else good to watch. And so I can understand why DC might release it now, but I don't see why they would. But yeah. Anyway, guys, that is my opinion on both of those topics. Um, yeah, my ability to ramble is unmatched. So yeah. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and go check out the rest of the playlist, the rest of the podcast. There's only like 2 episodes, but um, you know, it's there whenever you're ready. And yeah. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time. I If I do decide to go and see it tomorrow, I will definitely be making a review tomorrow night and maybe releasing it on the 17th. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, see ya.